Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to yet another edition of the Lambom Show. Today is Wednesday, October 5th, 2022, and it's a great day. I want to start off by wishing a very happy birthday to my junior brother, Jude Bum. Today is his 40th birthday, and I wish him the best and hope that life begins at 40 so he can start enjoying life. And I also want to wish a happy birthday to my friend Millie in Florida. Hope you both enjoy this day. And I'm glad we are back on set with Sir Ed Okpa for the whole of 2021. If you followed the Lambom show, you would have known that every Wednesday I met with Sir Okpa, and we're dealing with African immigrants and African development. And so Okpa went off to some political engagements, and we fell off for a while. But this week, he sent me something that was thought provoking, and I thought it's important for us to get back on set, especially within the context of the summit, the US Africa summit that is coming up in December. And what we are going to be discussing is in general, but really specific to some US Ghana caucus that was formed in the Congress and launched. I think there were three congresswomen who were asked to lead the Ghana caucus at the US Congress. And Sir Okpa was very, very critical of that move. And he wrote something that I want us to pay attention to. And the one line that really got me thinking was when he said, um, somebody needs to tell Africans getting something from the US is about strategic access, not wishful endeavors like the Ghana Congressional Caucus. It is a joke. And I'm like, why would Sir Okpa be calling such a strategic move as a joke? Uh, the Minister of Trade from Ghana traveled for that event, and there was a big splash about it. But Sir Okpa is here. He's going to tell us his views. Again, as always, welcome, Sir Okpa.
Hey, thank you for having me. And I was absent, a break in communication, and here we are. And for those you wished a birthday, I hope the saying "a fool at 40 is not a fool forever." So this is the threshold. That, hopefully you have lost your wisdom teeth, but you shouldn't have lost your wisdom. And you're not a junior brother; you're just a younger brother because there's no military rank here. So don't accept being junior. Just say, hey, my big brother, my baby brother. But we're not in the military barracks where we have junior officers, senior officers. That's an African thing, and I understand it. Anyway, back to what you said. Um, for me, having been in the U.S. and lived here for 30 something years, and you watch what nations do, to access um, U.S. resources for their own country, and then you turn around and look at what Africans do. It seems to me, and I have evidence for that, that Africans just want to show up for the showing up sake. There's no substance in the show they put up. Uh, you're talking about the Ghana, you know, it's not a standing committee. It's not the U.S. House of Representatives didn't do that. They didn't set up a committee specifically and said, okay, you congressmen to go do it. And it's a pure waste of time and not understanding protocol for the Minister of Trade. You have an ambassador. You have a Ghanaian ambassador to U.S. And then you have the foreign minister. So that the Minister of Trade showing up was one of those, hey, let me go to DC and put up a show. You should have had your ambassador who is resident over there do it, represent the country, and then relay, or you send your foreign minister. The president should even do that. But because Africans think their relevance is enhanced when they jump all over. If Russia invites them tomorrow, they all of in the plane going to Russia. If China invites them, they go. Anybody who sends them an invitation, boom, they're in the plane to go show up. I mean, the president of Ghana went to city of Houston and was received by the mayor of Houston. How dare you, lowering your status? In America, the governor of a state does not go visit the mayor of a city. The president of America does not go visit the governor in their office. But African leaders will jump in the plane and go meet, with a council member, sit in the council chamber. What are you doing? You're the president of your country. If it comes to that, send your ambassador. Send your minister of something. But the president of Nigeria or Ghana or Cameroon should not go visiting the mayor of any city. Even if you're in the city, to say you are meeting with people from your country, let the mayor come over there and meet you, but don't go to their office, because the mayor is not your protocol level. Presidents are president. But again, for us showing up just to show up sake, we devalue our political, our position. Now what everybody wants to say, if you want to do business in Cameroon, they say, do you know the president? Because most Africans say, I can walk up, the president is my friend. Have you met any African who doesn't have a connection to know the president or the minister? So, but anyway, that's my thing. I think it was a lousy thing, for the Minister of Trade to go to, watch. I mean, with Sheila Lee Jackson. Have you ever been to the district she represents? It's one of the poorest districts in Houston. And then the other woman, the same thing. Hey, Lambert, when we were in school, if you want to copy from a student, do you copy from a C student or A student?
From an A student, of course.
Yeah, if you copy from an A student, your likelihood of A minus or B is at least is right there. But you go copy from a C student, what are you going to get? You're going to get a D or F. So Africans just go copy from anybody, just so they say, oh, we're there. So anyway, for that move by Ghana, I just thought it was a lousy one, and the Congress, because the U.S. House of Representatives has no international committee. They don't. Okay, it's the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, is because they're the ones that looks at everything that has to do with America. Congress people can go anywhere, but it's actually the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. They are the most powerful. If you want to talk about money, then you go to Senate Finance Committee. But the most powerful congressional group is the Ways and Means Committee, because they're the ones that look at tax code, treasury, and everything. So you have to know what those committees do. But when you go meet 2 or 3 Congress people and then they come and stand with you and take a picture, come on, why do we start to dance even when the real music haven't started?
So again, you talked, get to strategic access, and I get the point, but don't you have to begin from somewhere?
When you take the wrong step, the rest of the step is going to be wrong. Okay, there's a lobbying group. There's a lobby. If you look at, the number is there. If you request it, you can get that number. You know how much Mexico spends to lobby U.S. government? It's more than all the African government put together, the 54 African countries. The same thing with Canada. So if you want to have a strong presence in Washington, D.C., if your ambassador is not a very strong person, because the most ambassadors of Africa to U.S. are people that are appointed because they are they know whomever it is, just send them over. They don't have any clout, they don't have relationships, they are not sophisticated diplomats. The only thing they do is they look for child naming ceremony of people from their village and they show up. But if you really want to have a Washington D.C. presence, then you look for a lobbying firm, not a member of Congress. You look for a lobbying firm and say, these are the agenda, these are the issues that are of interest to us. We want this. But not just show up because a congressperson invites you to come and show up and sort of enhance their own marginal. Who is Sheila Lee Jackson? All things considered. Okay, she's a ranking member. She's been in Congress for a long time. But she's not in the leadership. She doesn't chair any committee. She doesn't. And then she puts off this presence for African countries naive. Just like, that's why presidents of Ghana will go to meet the mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner. What would the Houston mayor do for country of Ghana or Nigeria or Kenya? What? Would they tell any company they go do business in Kenya? Heck no. Would they take money from their city budget to donate? Heck no. They can't do that because the city charter does not allow them. They have no international power. They can pass a resolution, but they can't influence anything. So when you say, get somebody to coach you, guide you on how to access America, and not just think, if you call them, they will be excited to receive you because you are, helping build up their own ego. I mean, if I were to be president of Nigeria, I will not talk to these people because I know them. I have lived with them. But some of the Africans, the mayor of Houston is inviting me. Hey, excuse me. That is why a Nigerian president will go and see the emir of Kano. You are the most top political person in your country, and then you go kneel down before the emir of a local tribe. What the heck is that? You don't devalue your position, because once you start devaluing your position, everything else is off.
Yeah, I mean, we have often said there are two approaches in life. There's a top-bottom and there's a bottom-top, isn't it? And I get the point you're making. Again, I am looking at, maybe let's give exception. I'm looking at Sheila Jackson. She has been in Congress for a long time. She may not have any powers, but I think that maybe she has friends of friends, and maybe through that something could happen.
Congress is a ranking order. You have to be chair of a committee, and you have to be a chair. What are the committees that are relevant to Africa? It has to be trade. It has to be foreign. Something like that. Not just saying, not just anything. But I'm just saying, if you want to do that, be strategic, but also know what you are being strategic for. What do you want out of US? What do you want? Are you talking to them to enhance your exchange rate with your local currency so that your purchasing power will go up? Or are you talking to them about certain major procurement? If you want to build a water system in Ghana, you don't go to the Congress. You go to the engineering firm who can build that. I say, what would you take you to do it? If they tell you what it would take, and then you look at your own domestic resources and you find out that you are missing something, they will be the one going to Congress on your behalf, and they will get you a bank, as opposed to you going there and saying because you're minister, you are for. Did the Washington Post cover that? Did you find it in any newspaper there?
I was even surprised. I read it from some fringe paper. I don't even know what that paper is. But
there's a Ghanaian person who published it, and I sent that Ghanaian person an article, and he was pissed off. I said, look at it, you guys are part of the reason, that Africa don't get anything. Because you show up in America, you flash your PhD, and then what? You have no relationship. You don't know how the system is, set up. You don't even know the differences between mayors and city government and the various, just because you're in America. And that's why Diaspora Africa doesn't have any value for their native country, because a lot of us have not invested to figure out how this country works. And so once we are here, our village, HK is there. Let's go talk to him. HK could have been a cab driver sending $10,000 home. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Okay, my family members may have a good mansion, but that doesn't address the issue of infrastructure, instead of this or that. They're happy somebody sending them money. So what I'm just saying is we got to take time to study what it is we need. And then they don't come to the table in America looking for sympathy. You have to be strategic. You have to have equity. You have to have a skin in the game. When you come open-handed, please help me, they're like, they treat you like you're not serious. I mean, don't we live in America? Why don't we see poverty in Maryland, in Washington, D.C.? So why are Africans coming here thinking that if they cry, then all of a sudden America is going to, make them stop crying? Or you go to the World Bank to borrow money. What the heck is World Bank?
Right. So I get it again, but I think that at a certain level, I know I haven't looked at the index for long. Most of these African countries actually pay these lobby firms huge sums of money. But I think it's much more in terms
of... A lot of the embassies they don't even pay their staff. So how can they pay lobbying firms? They could go look at the number. I mean, go look at it. You could request it. But if you see what Canada, the total Canadian lobbying money is bigger than all of the African countries. So how can it be a lot of money? What you see is some of the African countries, like, when the guy in DRC what is his name again? Joseph something.
Sekedi or
No, the guy before Sekedi, Kabila.
yeah.
So when Kabila was there, and Kabila was concerned about the lousy thing he's doing in Cameroon, that the US may come in and do a regime change or force him out. He was paying some lobby firm. He was paying the former what is his name, Senator Bob Doe, firm that he belonged to. He was paying the millions of dollars to do nothing. Just, hey, keep the monkey off my back, kind of thing. It wasn't like they were lobbying for anything that would benefit Congo. So most of these African countries are what they do. They spend money with the wrong people. And if you look at most Black people that have left Congress, they don't even have lobbying firm. They don't. Because, majority of the lobbying firm in the US are still Anglo-controlled. For somebody to lobby for you, they have to believe in your story. They have to see the goodness in you and they want to help you grow. That's what lobby does. It's an advocate for you. He even tells you better things. He might tell you, you don't need to go this way. But if you go to some of these lobbying firms in Washington, they'll take your money. They'll take it. You say, oh, you want to go see the president? Oh, sure, I'll get you there. And then they run you through the White House for 2 minutes of photo. You take it, you go to your village and say, look at me. And they clap for you. And a lot of them do it. A lot of them do it. And, the former president of, what is his name? Not former, still there, the small Congo. He paid millions of dollars, when Trump, won and he, somebody said, oh, come, let's go meet Trump in Florida. He didn't even get to see Trump. It was like an egg on his face. You know what I mean? But I'm just like, come on. But okay, doing that, what does it do for your country? It's just, again, because they have this fear and they have a marginalized sense of how America operates. And then they just waste money for nothing. I mean, just like the same thing as like going to the United Nations Assembly and get that 15 minutes of talking. When you do it, and then what? Well, I mean, I'm just saying, after you show up at the assembly, then what? You bring in a truckload of your advisors and friends. So there are certain things Africans are supposed to be looking at and say, you know what, this hasn't gotten us any mileage. We need to change style. We need to change strategy. We need to really find people that can help us understand what it is we want to do with America and how we can cultivate a relationship that is mutually respected and mutually beneficial, not just showing up. I mean, okay, you're talking about the thing in December when African presidents, I call them African pupils. You know how you have students and the principal say, all of you show up here. I mean, how can 50-something of you vacate the continent for 1 or 2 hours of photo op with a president of Russia or China or America? Well, come on. How many South American presidents have you seen there? How many European? I mean, you know what I mean? But all of the African presidents, a lot of them will, fly in their jet, whether it is private, their presidential jet or commercial, just to go show up in Moscow, in Beijing, what is his name? The man in France hasn't invited them yet. Or Washington, D.C. When Obama was in office, during a dinner event in Dallas, and I asked him, I said, what is the collateral value of all these African presidents showing up in Washington, D.C.? He gave me an answer. And it was a sincere answer, and I appreciate him speaking up. So what's that all about?
So I think that there is, even if it's for some basic thing, I'm sure that there are some deals that will be struck at the time they are
No,
here.
there's no deal has been struck. You tell me the deal of all these years, okay? You go country by country. What is the deal? You talk about USAID, you talk about World Bank, you talk about IMF. We can track the amount of money each of these institutions have spent in Africa. They are not hidden. So what is the big deal? Is the water system in any African country running because of the relationship they've had with the World Bank? Sanitation in any African city clean? Are we even picking up trash? Is in our gutters and everywhere piled up? I mean, we've had World Bank coming in there to tell us about sanitation, and so what is working? What sector of any African economy is stable? Because they have been going to Washington or Paris or China or Moscow and having talks with these people. Tell me what sector. Is it our power delivery? Is it our road network? I mean, we have to talk. Is it our universities? They've done a university study of all 1,000 top universities in the world. That's not mentioned in Africa. Say maybe one little one in South Africa. Come on. So here, what sector? What sector is a glaring example of Africa 50 years of independence that they have said, okay, no, we have perfected this sector? For what? Are we trading with ourselves? No.
Well, that's work in progress, isn't it? They're currently doing some little things.
Yeah, work in progress, just like a baby who never learned to walk, but they're always crawling. Yeah, they're progress. I mean, you can always call yourself anything you want, but the thing is, for people in your country, how do they feel about their country? Come on. I'm about the practical things of life. If I want to go, Yaoundé is no longer than 300 miles from maybe any city in Nigeria. Crossover. Can I even cross over and go to Yaoundé? Or some Africa. I mean, it's a neighboring country. Is there? Drive, take a vacation, have a tourism, spend money on the hotels, spend money buying stuff, seeing the country. And can I do it? I can't, because the road connectivity is bad. So do we need somebody to come build the road for us? From Senegal, Dakar, all the way to Yaoundé is no more than 2,000 or so miles. That's like going from LA to New York. But you'd be surprised if you're in Dakar, you want to go to Yaoundé. You may have to fly to Paris and then catch a flight back into Africa.
Yeah, again, those are the structural problems.
But the Africans are not having the conversation on a regional basis. They're not having the conversation. Instead, they're flying out the country, trying to talk to the Belgium, the English, the French, the German, the Portuguese, whomever. I mean, the continent is the only continent anybody can come in there and pull people out. I mean, 50-something years of independence, a fool at 40 is a fool forever.
I hope we Africans are not, but there's some other provocative thing you said there with respect to Ghana has been call it a privileged destination for African Americans returning on the continent, and you're asking about what is the economic value. And I think there is. I mean, most of these people have come.
Tell me, I ask a question, I need an answer. What's the answer? What's the value?
Well, just as you want people to go spend money on tourism in African countries, I think they bring a lot of that. They come back.
But again, we have to track it. We have to track it. We could say, hey, African Americans returning to Ghana has created a 3% impact on the GDP. Okay, but my question again, rhetorical, is how many corporations have moved to Ghana because of African Americans? How can the people that have not even developed their own neighborhood are going to develop yours? These are people that they are looking for consolation in misery. Okay, what they don't like America, they've spent all their life here, they want to go to Africa, where they go is kumbaya. Okay, you go over there, you retire, you can do that. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying, what are the Ghanaians gaining? And I went, the first black guy to get a PhD from a Harvard University, the boy. Yeah, now look. Yeah, the first black guy. He went to Ghana in the 50s. He died. He's buried in Ghana. I went to a place that they have his village, his house in Ghana. It looks like a chicken coop. Okay, and next to his house is the African American Center of Accra or Ghana. It's the same chicken coop. So I mean, you need a new and improved group of people that will come in and help you, uplift what you are doing. So the African Americans that are running down their neighborhood, how are they going to go in and improve on your neighborhood? Except to have a conversation with you, I'm glad to be home, and now we love each other, kumbaya. Africans don't need those sentimental reactions. We need productivity. We know our history. Yes, we have been enslaved, we have been colonized. We're not the first in the world to do that. Hey, if you come home, bring something new. That's why I don't chew cola nut. That's why I don't wear red cap. I don't go to Nigeria. And then what's the red cap going to do for me? So because I want to conduct myself in a way to let people know, that fine, keep your culture. If your culture is good, why did Africans leave? If the culture of Africa is so attractive and alluring, why did they leave? Why are other people not moving into Africa to copy and paste that culture? So we gotta be honest. So the African Americans, I said, if you retire, retire. But you remember I was in Ghana last year for 10 days and I interacted with them. A lot of them is like stock. They're not employers, but they can. Let me see how many of them are going to end up on the city council or local elections in Ghana. Remember, this is not the first time. Sierra Leone and Liberia were settled by freed slaves. Those two countries were never colonized in Africa. They've been there. Sierra Leone Liberia has had 100 and something years of independence. Existence. How is Liberia doing? Remember, they went back and they started dealing with the native people. That's why you have Charles Taylor, all those fights, and then in Sierra Leone, the same thing. Because, the people that said they were being oppressed in America went back to start oppressing the same Africans that they said, they were sold from. Those are examples. That's why you have Sierra Leone as a free town. That's their capital, Freetown. Go over there. The first formal institution of education, Forabe College, 1860 something. That's when it was established. It was the first one in West Africa. Go over there. You wouldn't even send your dog to that school. So dilapidated. So what is the improvement? So now we're going to be jumping up. And why is Ghana so concerned about the Black people, returning when their own native people are suffering? Take care of your own person first. If anybody want to move, just like when I came to America, was there a reception for me at the airport? Huh? So why are you throwing a red carpet for African Americans when 99% of Ghanaians are suffering? If you want to come on. This is the rules to come in, but don't celebrate them because they ain't getting anything to offer. And I hope this thing they can hear it.
Right. So I again, I'm struggling with the fact that at least because of the effects of slavery, one way of dealing with the effects is by tracing one's roots, isn't it? And there's some value.
No. Hey, I wasn't a slave. I am moving back to Nigeria. I know who I am. I'm not going back there, and I know my roots. If my roots was comfortable and convenient, I wouldn't have left. Okay, so I'm not in that conversation about slavery. The word slavery, is it an African word? Not an African word. No, so they were enslaving themselves before they get it. It's just that we don't know how to mentally get out of it. Colonization is not an African word. They have been. Do you know Japan? Little Japan sometimes colonized China. And but look at it today. All the Asian countries have had some sort of, the same thing that we suffered. But we still the one going around, please help us. How dare you do this? You did this to me. And that's fine. I don't cry because Jesus was crucified. And I don't even cry. I don't even think he died for my sins. I'm going to die for mine. He died for his own. Okay? So you want to say these are the things that we've been told, and then we just sort of got into it without us saying, does it really make sense? If you slap my grandfather 300 years, you put a chain on my grandfather 300 years, and then he didn't defend himself. Okay, fine. I'll take that history. It's not going to depress me. You know what it's going to do for me? It's going to inspire me. Because if you're the one who is a generation of person who did it to my father, and I think you're going to do it to me, oh my God, I will crush you. So No. It is what it is. In fact, our history should make us stronger. The history of oppression and suppression and what we have suffered at the hands of other people should make us the most stronger, resilient people in the world. But what has it done? We're now going begging. Oh, anytime we go on a job, look at it. Anytime most of Black people go to work in America, they're not performing well. Oh, it's racism. They go to school, they don't. The teacher doesn't like me. Okay, then go to Black schools. Go work for another Black company. But we don't do it. We're just always looking for an excuse to justify our own less than desirable performances. I had a nephew who came to America one time. He was staying with me. I would send him to school. He came back and said, my professor doesn't like me. You know what I did to him? I said, it's not the business of your professor to like you. You better pay attention. I said, I don't care. I have been to schools where I was the only Black in the class. Mm-hmm. So what is this thing? But I could have sympathized with him. Oh yeah, and they answer like, except the professor, when the professor is talking, he came in and put wax in your ears or tell you to get out of the class. Then, but if he's talking to everybody, you don't have to like him. Just listen to what he's saying, because you're going to take a test based on what he or she is saying. He shut up, but then he couldn't handle it. He dropped out.
Yeah, but I mean, let's not open that conversation, because I think there are structural forms of racism. Because again, historically, based on,
hey, in Nigeria, Igbos, do they get along with the Hausa people or Fulani? You know, my father told me when I was leaving Nigeria, he said, don't you ever call me from America by racism, because I can sit back in Nigeria and deal with tribalism. So again, those are the options. I always have options in life, but I will choose one. Okay, so if you don't like me, I've said this on your show before, if you don't like me, you're doing me a favor. I don't like you. You know, when I was at UNT, University of North Texas, taking real estate courses, I'll give you an example. So, you know, I've already got my education in real estate from Nigeria, but I wanted to take real estate courses here to familiarize myself with, you know, the differences and similarities. So, you know, there was a professor, he would teach, you know, come and teach, but I know enough to challenge him. I know enough to ask him questions. He's a white guy. Do you know what he did? You know, so one day called me and said, hey, Edward, after class, wait. I waited, and he said, hey, stop coming to class. He said, you don't need to come. I'll mark you off for attendance. And what grade do you want? I said, I'm always an apple. I like A. He gave me A. That's it. Because I spoke up. I could have sat there and just pretended. So you have to assert yourself, but do it in a way that people will know you know something. You know? People don't, you know, look, every white man is not an enemy, and every black person is not a friend.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but again, like I said, we need to push forth on that claim, because again, there are different forms that we have. Maybe we'll come to that, but I'm now wondering that is the problem. So I mean, in general, we have been talking about the African diaspora in the US and the lack of strategic access. And I'm wondering, how do we fix that? Because we have talked about this before here.
How we fix it is we have to be knowledgeable. We have to be credible. We have to understand, okay, you live in Maryland or Virginia, you have to understand how that state or the local government or the city or the county works. I mean, you have to inform yourself, okay? And then when you inform yourself, it gives you confidence, it makes you credible. And then if somebody at home then you can share that information and say, hey, you know, this is what we need to do. This is how we can access this stuff. You know, God's love is not unconditional. It's not unconditional. You know that. You know, when people say, I love you unconditionally, God doesn't love us all unconditionally, because there's a requirement to go to heaven and there's a requirement to go to hell. So if there was unconditional love, anybody would go to heaven. So the same thing for America, okay? You have to have if you want to do certain things certain way, there are requirements and conditions for that. You're gonna have to be the one studying it and imbibing it. And even if you don't like it, if you join a club, you don't like it, you don't like the charter, then you push for a change. You know, since 1948, when the UN was formed and World Bank and IMF, you know, in the 40s, how many African countries were independent, except for maybe Egypt and Sierra Leone and Liberia that they were. Okay, so they joined since then. They have never pushed for a charter change. They have never said, hey, you know, we joined this thing when we were not even invited in the formation. Remember, I told you one time, my father said, if you want to get the best part of a cow, you better be the ones contributing money to buy it. Okay, so we just joined for the sake of, we're a member of the UN, but we have never pushed for any particular change. And we say, if you don't change it, we're going to get it. But they have sheepishly belonged, and they have been, you know, shipped around on a charter they have no hand in writing, and they have never had the courage to challenge. There are more African nations in UN than any other continent. So if 54 of them can vote en bulk, you know what other change they can do? They can say, okay, once every 3 years, you host the UN General Assembly in an African city. We should open this by continent. If not, we're not showing up. 54 of them that show up in New York, you know how much money impacts the New York economy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said, no, we're not coming. In fact, let's do it by virtual. Zoom. Okay? We Zoom in, you make your speech. Thank you. But instead, each African president that is going with no less than 10 or 20 people. Look at how much money that leaves the country because of that. Say, heck no. Thank God for technology. Let's Zoom. UN something should not be by Zoom.
That's a tough one, but I think there are coming. There are reforms that are underway at the UN. I don't know how far they are gone.
Oh, well. Every time there's a reform.
Listening to the president's talk, everybody was complaining about a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council.
That's what I'm saying. You say we don't want to be part. We are not. But you know what? The 54 African countries, none of them are going to have the courage to do it. All you have to do is you go to AU, you pass a resolution, and you send it to them. We're not coming until we have one permanent seat. In fact, we are even asking for Zoom because leaving the continent to come to New York costs us money. Let's do Zoom. Then they will say, oh, please, because, the hotel sales, the transportation, the food, the shopping, go look at the multiplier impact. You could Google it. Impact of United Nations gathering in New York. You could see how much it does.
And that's true. Just continue fighting that. Again, the problems on the continent are just too many. And I want to circle back on the diaspora because in the new US strategy towards sub-Saharan Africa, one of the things that the Biden administration highlights is the role of the diaspora. But I just realized that the diaspora, who is the diaspora, by the way? Well, and how divided we are. You have a Nigerian diaspora. You go to the Nigerian diaspora, you have an Igbo of the Nigerian diaspora. You have Yoruba of the Nigerian diaspora. You have... so again, it seems as if we are just a cursed bunch. I don't know how we solve that problem.
Well, again, nobody's going to solve it. We're going to be the one that solve it. Remember, I think you and I have had this exchange before. When the Europeans came here, they became white people. Okay, before they were all Italians, Germans, But when they came to a new land, they became what? White people. And then you had the World War I. America wasn't ready for it. You had the World War II. America got into it. Okay, who cleaned up at Europe? It was the white people, former Europeans, who went back and now told Germany, England, France, everybody else, you can't do this anymore. Remember, the war ended in 1945 or 46. Remember, even while the Europeans were trying to get their house in order, they still held on to the African colonies. Okay? It's like a man who is having a divorce with his wife, but he's holding on to you and your wife. Okay? He hasn't gotten his house in order, but he's still holding you and even making you to come join him fight his enemies. So Africans supposed to go back and think. While these people were killing each other, they dragged us into a fight that we have nothing to do with. But the war ended because by 1960, Europe was up and running. Germany up, you know what I mean?
Right.
Who did it? Americans. So who is the diaspora Africans? Who are the Africans post-independence, post-slavery that are going to go to Africa and say, you guys cut that shit off? Is it the African Americans that are still whining and complaining about being mistreated in America that are going to do that with you? Or is it the African here that are so happy? A lot of them are buying cars because they never had a car in their village. So all of a sudden they are big boys and big girls. Are they the ones who are going to do it? No, because we are still a people caught up in those little, culture of low expectations where, oh my God, you wake up every day, you pop a champagne. I can't believe I married the girl I married. If you were in the village, you wouldn't have talked to me. Almighty dollar, the American passport. So the diaspora has to be sophisticated men and women who are detribalized, who are no longer seeing their nationality. They see Africa as a place they can go in and play a role. If a white man leaves America and go to Africa, who is asking whether you're German or Irish or English or French? They're just white Americans. And they get anything they want. But if I go to Nigeria, oh my God, I can take a homeless white man from America, dress him up and say, hey, don't say a word, just say Edward is the man. And everybody will let me go through at the airport. I mean, so who is the diaspora? Is it the PhD people that are teaching school that they get? You go to village meeting, they want you to recognize them and call them Doctor, Chief Engineer, or blah blah blah. So who is the one that has mentally migrated? A lot of Africans are physically migrate, but don't mentally migrate. And so the diaspora doesn't exist. It exists in words, but it doesn't exist in action. Because let me tell you, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, if a Cameroonian minister wants to take money out of Cameroon and call a Cameroonian in America, oh my God, he's going to be one helping him or her to get the money out. The same thing with a Nigerian, the same thing Kenyan. And you say, oh, it's my tribesman, man, now, I mean, look at who I'm hosting. Europeans won't do it. They will turn you in. So how many, German presidents are buying property in America? I mean, wealthy individuals can do it, but not not their government officials. But every government official in an African country is looking for a country where he or she can go buy a real estate or send their kids to school. So the diaspora is not a relevant group because they are not politically sensitive, they are not politically astute, they have no organizations in America that are run by Africans that are run properly. They don't have any. Is there any African organization in America that even pays somebody a salary? Nowhere. They just go to village meeting and wear a cap and dance around and pass plate. They are doing fundraiser. At the end of the fundraiser, they have spent more money hosting than they even raised in the fundraising. So they have never articulated a resolution to U.S. government. Say, hey, this guy is doing this in Cameroon or Nigeria. We should stop it. We don't want him or her to be given visa. We don't want any government official in this government to be given visa to come because this is what they do. Can they write that letter? If you write it, or the person you write it with will call the president at home, hey, Lambert is the man writing this, so I want some help. Because they are not cohesive. So the diaspora, they throw these things, why people have learned to throw to the black race, because they know we cannot organize. They know we are not very structured. So they tell us something and then we start scrambling. Just like the African American community. I mean, you look at NAACP. They give image award. What image are you giving an award? Who is being run down? There are no black-owned businesses. There are even though you have a lot of black people in city council, state, and what goes back into their community in terms of bringing in resources to do something. There's not very much. But every year they get up in Hollywood or somewhere and they are given an award and they say, award for what? So diaspora again. Individuals have to be the one championing a change, but you have to have mentally migrated and be confident in what you're talking about. And then maybe you can help. But we don't know how to recruit. We don't have to recruit talent. If you go to Cameroon now with your knowledge to tell them what to do, because you're not a white man, they're going to listen to you. And then a fifth grade white man who dropped out to dress himself up, he will walk all straight to your president's office and sit down with him and have coffee.
Yeah, so I think there needs to be a strategic effort to be able to pull together the diaspora, because there are many different actions that are being taken, but it doesn't translate. I mean, the example that I want to use is APAC, isn't it? Look at when the Israeli lobby, just American Israeli lobby, that alone is a very powerful group, isn't it?
I mean, okay, but when American government writes a check to support another country, it is you and I money. It's not just Jewish money. It is everybody's money. But because those people are formalizing. You know how many Jews are in America? About 8 to 10 million of them. There are 40-something million of us black people, including African Americans. So for every Jewish man in America, there's 5 to 6 black folks. Okay? If the saying 2 heads are better than 1, how come 1 Jewish head is better than 6 black people's head? Huh? No. You have to ask. This is what you ask yourself. You're not looking to them to answer for you. What have they learned in school that we learned and we missed? Is because their quality is better than the quantity, and they know how to yield. Africans don't know how to yield. If you start something today in Cameroon, to benefit Cameroon, somebody go jealous. I know Lambert. They will go form another one just to, undermine your competition. Instead of rallying behind you and working with you, they just go do multiple. How many organizations of African people do you have in the Washington, D.C. area? Go count it. Just like you have churches. Don't you have a Redeemed Church? Hey, I always say to Nigerian people, you have a Redeemed Church. How many of you have been redeemed? How many people have been redeemed for going to Redeemed Church?
Well, it's a spiritual redemption.
Well, so even the spiritual redemption is making them more poor. Okay. You are redeeming the overseer, but you haven't redeemed yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, beyond that, the problem also is that at individual levels, everybody's trying to grow. So they want to, it's like, I want to first get my pockets before I can now bond with some other person, because I don't think it's possible just to focus on getting the diaspora together. And again, I can bring these two. The diaspora today also includes African American, isn't it? We also have.
You cannot bring in people that are still feeling, wronged by the American government. If you go to an African American and said, okay, we agree with all these things that's been done to you and your people before you, what will make you whole? What will make you whole? So that we stop this story. No, you're the one crying. Igbo people, in my village, Igbo, they are evil something. They said, when a child is crying, either the mom or the dad is in that direction. Okay, so we as a Black people, we African Americans have been crying about slavery for 400 years and all the impact. And I said, okay, we admit. Do you want an apology? Who do you want it from? Okay, do you want money? How much do you want? If you put them, they have no answer. And there's no guarantee that even if you give them an apology and give them the money they're asking you, they're going to use it and do something better. They're not. So, but they want people to just come in, sympathize with them. They do anything and they say, oh, if I don't do it, I'm promising to promote your culture. I think that something is lost in their own understanding of African history because Africans sold them. Okay? It's not the white people didn't go over there and grab them. Africans actually put a chain on them and handed them to white people and brought them here. So they have to admit that if they want to look for apology, they should go to Africa and ask the African countries for apology. And if they want money, they should make efforts to seize all the money that belongs to African presidents in America. Say, you pay, I'm taking that because you sold me. You never gave me anything for selling me. So I'm going to take that money. Do something unreasonable. You know what I mean? In life, you have to do something unreasonable to get respect and attention. You can't just sit there and say, oh, you are owed. What are you owed for reparation? Tell me a number. $10 million? Prove it. And who do we pay? If you have married white people, do we pay you half? White people and Asian, in the case of Obama and white people, okay, who do we pay? What time do we cut it off? 17 what? But they show, oh, you pay me, you have wronged me. Okay, fine. That victimization thing is going to go on and you're not going to get anywhere. The apology that I want?
No.
I want an apology for a 200 plus old white man who's 200 years old. If you can find him, I will take an apology and I'll have a conversation with him about slavery. Since there's none, I don't want to hear about it. I don't care about it.
No, but I am sure you are really not just downplaying it, but
no. I come from Nigeria. My dad was a chief. I know the tribal differences, even the same tribe of Igbo people, the hatred. So I saw this. Igbos that don't even like themselves. Remember, Igbos are closer to Cameroon. Okay?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, within the Igbo people, they still don't love each other. So a white man, again, might even take sympathy on me. Okay, Lambert, let me tell you, when I go for contract evaluation, if the contracting officer is Black, I give myself 5% chance of winning. But if the contracting officer is white, I can give myself 95% because the Black person says, oh, I don't want to make it look black. They're not going to be able to fight for you. They're not going to be able to go to their boss and say, hey, I want Lambert to do it. Because they say afraid to take a decision. And that's why even with all the political capital they have, they are not able to take a decision that will benefit even their own neighborhood. You know how many of them go look at the city council in Virginia, in Baltimore, and some more of the cities. A lot of them are black folks. Look at the county commissioners. A lot of them state representatives. A lot of black. So what are they bringing home? They always tell you, my hands are tied. And I said, did you run for office and wait for your hands to be tied? Who tied your hands? Let's untie it. It's an excuse. It's a lousy language they use in order to get away from taking responsibility.
So maybe
solutions. I have solutions, but the thing is, like my wife always tells me, say Nigerians are unteachable. So why are you going to teach anybody who doesn't even want to teach? Who don't want you to teach them? They're unteachable. They will look at you. Do you have a PhD? Do you have a master's? You know, I mean, they start look. How did Africans assess each other? How big is your house? You know, what car are you driving? Have you built a house in the village? Has your village given you a local title? That's it. But you go to Cameroonian group. It's noisy. I have done this study one time. If I go to a Nigerian meeting, oh my God, everybody's talking. It's like a market. Whoa. Okay? If a white man comes in there, oh, they're all gentle people. They be quiet. They want to conduct. So that's what I'm saying. We don't even know how to listen to each other and ask questions. Most times when an African stands up in a forum or in a gathering, they start to give a speech from the floor instead of asking specific questions. It's everywhere. So there are a lot of things we have to learn, even though we are educated. There are a lot of things. Because our education by now should have advanced us. Should have made a significant difference in one African country. And I'm always asking the question, which is that African country? I want to go say it.
Not Nigeria.
Oh, excuse me. You want me to fly you to Nigeria? We go to Victoria Island, the so-called Victoria Island that looks like a dump. Or Lagos Airport that looks like, I don't even have a word to describe Lagos International Airport. I mean, I was born in Nigeria. I had no choice where I was born, but when I had a choice where to go to, I left that place.
So in the end, I think we are doomed. There's no way out.
No, we're not doomed. We have to be provoking each other. We have to have this provocative conversation. And then because out of it, what we are doing is agitating ourselves, waking up, the comfort. A lot of us get comfortable because of things we think we are doing individually. And that comfort is what gives us that complacency. And then we think somebody else is going to come do it. If your house is trashy, it smells. I don't care how much Jesus you scream. I don't care whether the pastor or the pope come over there and pray. That trash ain't going to move until you find a way to have a sanitation culture and they know how to prevent that in doing. What happens in the case of Africa, they see a trash and they start thinking Jesus. And then they wake up tomorrow, the trash is still there. They start to walk around it. And they pretend it does not exist. It's not there. That's it. They will go to church. But they will be going through trash and bad roads and everything to go to church. I said, they have this saying, cleanliness is next to godliness. I said, if that is a true statement, no Africa will be going to heaven because they're always trash. They're not clean. The environment is bad. So and then this idea of no prophet has honor in their village or be respected or something.
Right.
I said, whoever put it in the Bible looked at the black people to put that in the Bible because the Jewish people have respect for their prophet. The white people have respect for their prophet. Everybody does. Even in trade. Before you start to sell anything to people in Liberia, you should sell to Nigeria. Their next door neighbor or Nigeria said to Cameroon. You know what I mean? But if you want to sell to Europeans, sell to yourself. That's your trade. So do we have to go and teach them that basic economic, which is even in life? Go read a book, okay? Let your listener. It's called From Silk to Silicon.
Okay.
Go read it. I see how, this international financing thing, everybody jumping up and down, that they have a PhD in. The gentleman who started international financing didn't even finish high school. You have had the thing called the House of the Rothschild, the German.
Right.
Yeah. He's the one that started lending money to people. All of a sudden, he became international financing. And he had no degree in financing. So when you read that book, you can see how people have dared and they did something because there was need and they believed in themselves.
Excellent. So again, I think I was trying to look for the book From Silk to Silicon.
Yeah, you'll find it.
Yeah, we'll get it. But Sir Okpa, thank you very much for the conversation. I hope that I'm going to post it to the Ghana Congressional Caucus. That's where we started off.
Oh no, I mentioned name Sheila Jackson. I met her in Nigeria in 1999. She's a Jamaican person or something.
Okay.
And she got into that post when there was a black congressman that died in Ethiopia, so she got elected in early 90s, and she's been there. I'm not jealous of what she's done. I'm just saying, if I go to her district, I don't see anything. I have had a conversation with her when I was in Nigeria. When I see her and I see John Lewis and a whole bunch of these black people that are in Congress, all they want to do, the appearance they want to put to the black constituents is, I'm here to fight for you. The fault in your neighborhood is these other people. Is the fault of these other things that is going on. That's why your neighborhood is run down. And I'm going to see if I can get you, any money to do it. I'm not saying, hey, guys, we can clean up our neighborhood. When a black person takes gun and point at another black person and kill them, whose fault is it? I mean, you're saying other people are oppressing you, other people are discriminating against you, but the slightest provocation in a black person, bam, they kill you. Okay? Oh, maybe white people taught us that. Oh, really? Who are you killing? When you point that gun, who's in front of you? A white person? But
right. So again, this was meant to be provocative. Let's think through more, and I'm sure we're going to have something again. You have any last thoughts for next week?
Well, again, like I told my wife today, there's a victor and there's a victim. In my own understanding, the emperor lasts as long as the people in the empire worship him. Okay? Just like in UK, if I want to offend people in UK, I say, you guys are subjects. I'm a citizen. I don't have there's no monarchy here. You're a subject of the British Empire. Isn't that what they say? Subject of the British Empire. I say, I'm an American citizen. Our president is no majesty. He's just Mr. President or Mr. President. Okay? So I wouldn't live in the UK even if you pay me all the money. I would never go kneel down before the king or the queen to get a sir. But I'm just saying, we have to be confident in our own solution. We have to be confident in the race we belong to. God has not punished us or make us black. We have to believe in us. We have to start building. Even if the first time it's built, it may not be perfect, but you learn from it. Practice makes perfect. So that's what I'm telling people. Stop, even if in our household, if the relationship is not working and you try, let it go. But some of us get caught up on this. Oh, if it's not you, it's not going to be anybody else, and then you ruin your life. Remember, all of us are going to die. So when you hit 65 and you're still fighting your wife or your husband for a divorce that happened 20, 30 years ago, that's your problem. The divorce is fine, and go find you another relationship. Make your former ex jealous. Don't go marry anybody more ugly than the person you left. Go get somebody finer and younger. So that way, when they see you, they get more. If somebody is not jealous of what you do, you haven't done anything. Okay? So if you want to leave your wife, go find you somebody, or don't be married. But go find you somebody more beautiful than she. So when she sees you, she'll be like, I can't believe you do that. Sorry. Or what I mean? But Africans don't know how to do it. They don't have to live a life. They hang on to things that they shouldn't be hung on to. Get rid of those things, because at the end of the day, no matter how anybody loves you, when somebody's being put under in that 6 feet, nobody's jumping in that coffin. You know, they just say, well, no, well, I'll miss you. They're not missing you. They're going to the next man or woman available. So my final thought is, look, you know, my hand is my life is my hand, and I'm the architect of my destiny. Of course, all the things that I wish may not happen, but I take the pluses and the minuses in my life, and I want us to start having that mentality. You know, poverty is going to be part of us, but we can make effort to address it. You know, leadership, there are no perfect ones. We see it in America, but we're going to make the effort for collective existence. I'm not about celebrating the mansion any individual have. I'm about celebrating the institutional collectivity. How is our road? How is our healthcare system? How are the schools? How are we creating access for people to be all they can be? And not, oh, you have to come from a particular lineage. Then it's only when you're a subject that you do that. You know, they say, you know, like the Queen, you know, what is their job? What job do they have? But they have all this stuff. So I'm just saying, let us do more for ourselves. When you do more for yourselves, God will rally for you. Isn't that the saying? God help those who help themselves. If you ain't helping yourself, God is on vacation. I ain't coming to listen to you.
Thank you very
It's a
much.
pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I missed our conversation, so as often as we can do it.
Yeah, so again, I'm looking forward to those pieces. I'll put this out on my page, the writing that you did, so that they can continue. I'll put it under this broadcast so that people can.
Oh no, I like the way people say, "Hey, yeah." They meet me and say, "Hey, yeah." Just like the guy you said introduced me, say he watched what I said and he called. He said, "I need to have this guy's number."
Right.
No, I am not on a crusade, but if I can have one person say, "Hey, I like that guy. Yeah, I may not agree with him, but he has balls." I say, not only do I have two. And I'm not donating anyone to anybody.
Thank you very much, Okpa. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Again, we'll try to be on as much as possible. We'll keep that going. Let's continue, not just listening, not just having fun here, but let's take the ideas and work with them and see how we can build up a better African continent and better African immigrants. Thank you all, and I'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.